Hello, I'm Edward and welcome to my kitchen diaries. In this episode I'm going to create one of my favourite summertime classics, lemon meringue pie, with just one small twist. There's no pie. It's a lemon meringue roulade, I guess you'd call it, and consequently it's a little bit healthier, I hope. Less of the pie, less of the pastry, leaving more space for that sugar and cream. There is some fruit, of course, lemon, and I'm going to serve this with strawberries. I find that combination goes best. Two classic summery flavours combined in one deliciously presented dish. So let's get started. We'll begin by making the meringue. Start with 4 egg whites, keep the yolks for some other project perhaps, and then add to that 225 grams of organic caster sugar, the juice of 1 lemon, a little corn flour, and also a little vanilla essence, just to give it a bit of a rounded flavour. With your trusty hand whisk set to with the 4 egg whites, you want to get them nice down to a good thick, peaky consistency before you start adding any sugar or the other ingredients. So we've got a good peaky consistency, clumpy good eggs there. Now it's time to start adding the 225 grams of sugar. Add a little at a time, whisking between. So with that good crumbly peaky consistency, start adding the sugar. Add about a half at a time. So this is 225 grams of caster sugar going in. Meringue is done when it falls into stiff peaks like that just flop over to one side. So we've got our meringue base now pretty much done, just a few more stages to go. At this point we've got 225 grams of sugar combined with 4 egg whites, all beaten together and forming into a good, reasonably stiff, solid mass. Not wet, not dry, just right. Kind of elastic actually. Now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of corn flour, and we're also going to put in just a few drops, about half a teaspoonful of vanilla essence. And I'm going to fold that in quite gently, so as not to disturb the meringue. So 1 teaspoon of corn flour first, followed by 1 teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Just sprinkle that around. And then finally, approximately half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. And now I can stir to combine with a metal spoon. If you've seen my episode on creating the rolled stromboli, then you'll be familiar with this already. It's a sheet of Teflon that can be used as in place of, say, normal greaseproof paper or anything else you'd use for preventing something sticking to a pan underneath. So take a good heavy high quality baking tray, let's such as this one. You simply place the Teflon sheet over it, covering it completely, and then you can, without any need for grease, oil or anything, you can put the meringue straight into that. It will fill into the corners and you can bake that directly in the oven, knowing that when it comes out it's not going to stick to anything. So I'm going to spoon the mixture directly onto the Teflon sheet. If you visit the website at mykitchendiaries.tv, then you may have seen one of my food presentation and preparation tips, which is that unless you can make a surface completely smooth, there's no point in trying. Embrace that rough texture on the top of the meringue, and you'll get a beautiful finish when it's all ready to go. With meringue mixture on the tray, nice and evenly spread, it's time to put it in the oven, which I've preheated to 140 degrees centigrade. At 140 degrees, this will take approximately 1 hour to cook. Don't put it too near the top of the oven, you don't want it to get scorched. You want to actually keep the meringue almost wet inside so that when you're rolling it, it doesn't just crack up and break. So we'll come back in 1 hour and see how we're doing. Welcome back. So after 1 hour, the meringue is cooked. We've got a beautiful golden biscuity surface to it, lovely and uneven, crisp to the touch. And we're just going to let that cool down now. As soon as it's cool, we can start to roll it up. If you roll it too soon, then it just falls apart. It's too delicate. So let that cool all the way down. In the meantime, it's probably a good idea to start chopping the strawberries, so we'll move on to that next. On to the strawberries. On the strawberries, I'm going to remove the tops, and then I'm going to turn and I'm going to cut through vertically through each of the strawberries to get them into quarters. With the strawberries well sliced into small cubes, I can put them to one side, then get on to whipping the cream. We're going to whip 290 milliliters of double cream, it's about half a pint, and we're going to whip it not so that it's too stiff, it still needs to have quite a loose consistency to it, but it takes just a few minutes with an electric whisk, so let's go do that now. Whipping double cream is a fantastically simple process, particularly when you've got a good high-speed electric whisk like this one. And there it is, the consistency we're looking for in the cream, similar to that of the meringue, floppy peaks. Now we can put this to one side, and then we can start to pull together all of the items as soon as the meringue has finished cooling down. So our sheet of meringue has now cooled. I gave it a little help in the fridge just to speed things along. Perfectly acceptable, just don't leave it in too long, the moisture within starts to condense. We're going to turn this out onto a sheet of greaseproof paper, which is going to help us when we try and roll it up in just a few moments. We're then going to put a layer of lemon curd over the top, not too much, just enough that it's evenly covered. Probably about 4 to 5 tablespoons of lemon curd for the whole sheet. We're then going to take the whipped cream, which we've already whipped up, that was half a pint or 290 mils. We're going to layer that on top, then we're going to roll, dust with icing sugar and serve with the fresh strawberries which we prepared. So with a tablespoon I'm going to take spoonfuls of lemon curd and place onto the meringue. Make sure you get right up to the edges. With our sheet of meringue coated with good high quality lemon curd, I'm now going to take the spoonfuls of the whipped cream we already prepared and I'll put these directly on the top. Then we're going to spread it out evenly across the surface. And now for the tricky part, rolling this beast up. Now I'm going to make it relatively easy on myself. I'm going to roll from the long edge. This means that there'll be a minimal number of rolls. It also means you get slightly smaller slices as you cut it off. You can go the other way and you get these wonderful great big plate-sized rounds, but it's actually for sharing and not just for pigging out with. So I'm going to roll down from the long side. Now I'm going to do this by picking up gently from one end and just gently breaking it. You need to get just a little bit messy at the early stages. And there we go. The outside crust has started to crack, showing the warm, gooey centre inside. Perfect. That's exactly how I wanted this to be. So I'm now going to get on a plate, dust with icing. And here we have it, the finished final dessert. Lemon meringue pie without the pie, rolled up, served with beautiful fresh English strawberries. Inside, the meringue is just soft and moist. On the outside, it's beautifully crunchy. This is going to be a real pleasure to eat and to share with friends tonight. Be sure to check out the recipe on mykitchendiaries.tv and please feel free to comment, offer feedback and let me know how you get on with this recipe. If you have a variation, I'd love to know and we'll see if we can put it together and see how it's different. We'll see you again soon on mykitchendiaries.tv.